Acupuncture versus chronic pain. I'm coming for you. Let's start with the why, the most important reason. The reality is acupuncture scares most people, and I can completely understand. When I talk to people about acupuncture, they literally run away from the room.
Okay.
And when we talk about poking a couple dozen needles into your back or into the affected area, I can't blame you. But the reality is I have had some great success in the past. And with this first session back in a few years, I really wanted to share this journey back to acupuncture with you guys and wanted to share with you guys why I'm going back to acupuncture and why I think you should consider it if you never have before. The reality is acupuncture is an old Chinese medicine. I won't go into the real back history. There are a ton of really great resources here on YouTube and on the internet about the real background and history of acupuncture and what it does to your body. But the reality is I don't really understand it completely, but for me, it works. And it's something that has worked for me with my chronic pain, and I don't completely understand it, and that's okay. You don't need to completely fully understand it to try it and give it a shot, and that's really what I want to focus on today. You need to sometimes just trust the providers and the physicians and entrust that they know what they're doing. It's kind of like your family doctor or your cardiologist. You entrust that they know what they're doing with your heart, with your day-to-day health, because you don't know everything. And it's the same thing with your acupuncturist, your massage therapist, with your chiropractor. It's the same thing with all physicians. You don't know it all, and as a patient, it is your job to advocate for yourself, to know when you're feeling uncomfortable, and to know when you have a good provider in front of you, and to trust in them to do their job and to provide the care that you're looking for. And it's the same thing with acupuncture. Looking for that right provider is going to be the key. Make sure that they're licensed in the area that you're looking for. For me, making sure that they're licensed and making sure that they're insured, it was a key for me. Making sure that you get that first initial assessment, sitting down with them. Typically, there's a 30-minute session prior to even getting into or sitting on the table and actually getting that first needle, making sure they're aware of all your medical history. If they don't even spend that time with you, looking over where you're at, what your pain points are, if they're not even gonna go through that with you, that is a huge red flag. So make sure that you're comfortable with them. Make sure that they give you the time of day of going through your questions. All those types of things are really, really important. So my first session with this acupuncturist, we actually spent almost 40 minutes sitting down, going through all of my medical needs. Of course, it's a very long laundry list. We actually went through some of her history of where she's been injured, her medical journey, which actually was really, really special because it's something that not a lot of people open up about. We had a really interesting dialogue about our medical journeys, and she actually has gone through similar situations of being dismissed by the medical system. And so we just had a really interesting dialogue even before starting our acupuncture journey together. And so, make sure that it's a good fit. And it's okay to say, you know what, this is not going to work for me today, and walking away. If you don't think it's a good fit, you might not get that first acupuncture session right off the hop. But if you are thinking that this is going to work out for you and you want to move ahead with it on that first session, go for it. Obviously, I do have a history of having acupuncture done already. So we went ahead and moved on. And for me, it's really my low back, my upper back, and my neck. I have a lot of back. I have a history of back pain. We don't really know why. Quite frankly, I have so much pain from my different conditions in general, my limbs and my legs, but my back pain just affects my day-to-day so much. A lot of it is most likely due to the amount of time I spend laying in bed and laying on couches. It's one of those things that I unfortunately is just due to the long-term illnesses that I have. And so it's one of those things that unfortunately having an ongoing medical journey has affected me significantly and now has had an effect on my body as a whole. And due to that fact, my back is unfortunately feeling the effects. My acupuncturist, because now we are going to be seeing each other on a regular basis, really wants to get me to a point where my back is on a better pain scale. I am on a day-to-day basis a insignificant back pain. I would say probably a 7 or an 8 on a pain scale. We don't like using the pain scale here on the Slow Roll channel, but when we're talking about acute pain, which is what this is, we will use it. And so today we're talking acute pain. We really want to get this under control. And so we are going to try and get acupuncture once a week to once every 2 weeks, whenever I can fit into her schedule. She is a very busy acupuncturist. And so we are going to do that for about 4 to 6 weeks and or as I progress. And so I really like her style of we're going to take it treatment by treatment, see how things are going. After this first treatment, which we're gonna get into the details of how that went, but it depends how things go. And so we really take it treatment by treatment and really progress 4 to 6 weeks, and then we will take it from there. However, I really enjoyed her process of really taking it to the next level and saying, you know what, once we've got this back pain under control, we have a lot more options and a lot more things we can do for my chronic pain as a whole. Yes, we want to get this acute pain under control, but from a chronic pain perspective, the sky is the limit. There are a few really interesting acupuncture techniques that she would like to try on me, or not necessarily try, she's done it on other patients, but there are things for neurological pain, there are things for fibromyalgia pain, chronic fatigue, that are very specific acupuncture points that she's had very significant success with other patients. That is something I have never heard before. She actually works with a bunch of naturopaths in this very specialized clinic. And so it is very interesting to me to see what this could look like in the future of actually trying these very specific acupuncture points and seeing whether or not we could actually look at, looking at energy points and looking at acupuncture points specifically for neuropain, for fibromyalgia pain, for sleep disorders and things like that, all these different disorders that I have, and seeing whether or not, will they help me? Will they not help me? Will they improve my day-to-day health? This is something I've never heard of before, and I think could be really interesting. Will they work? Will they not work? Will they make me better? I have no idea, but you guys will be able to join me in this journey of acupuncture and see whether or not it will help. I know it helps with chronic pain. We've done this before. It really does work. And so I'm looking forward to getting my back pain back under control. I'm hoping it doesn't take too long, but time will tell how long it will take before we get this back pain under control. But back to the session itself. She put about 80 needles into my back, and yes, that seems excessive, but the reality is my back is in significant pain. And this is where people get very, very skeptic and get very scared of acupuncture. But the reality is these needles are very, very small. And when we talk about needles, we talk typically about gauge or size of needle. But these needles are tiny, tiny little speck needles.
Special, really tiny instruments.
Think of them as sewing needles. When they go in, you barely feel them. The only time that you'll feel some pressure, and I'm not saying pain because it's really not pain, it's pressure, kind of like when you go for a massage and you feel that pressure when they hit a knot. It's very similar in acupuncture. When you hit that spot, that pain spot, and that needle goes into that pain spot and it releases, and it truly is that simple. Once all the needles are in, the acupuncture will typically put a heat lamp over the affected area and leave you in the room to stay relaxed for about 20 minutes or so. Each acupuncture does it a little bit different, but it's usually 20 to 30 minutes. They leave the needles, and at this point you shouldn't really feel most of the needles unless there's one that is really working hard, but most of the time you're not going to feel any of them. The acupuncturist will then come back into the room, pull them all out, clean any of them that might be bleeding slightly. Don't worry, it's nothing to be worried about. It will stop bleeding almost immediately. It's just to clean all the areas, make sure everything is just sanitized, and then that's it. It's really that simple. It is an absolutely beautiful and fantastic process. It's something that at first I was very skeptical about, quite honestly. It's one of those things, you're just gonna put a bunch of needle in me and I'm just gonna, feel fantastic. I tried everything else. This was kind of when I was at the end of my rope, year 3 or 4 of my medical journey, and I felt semi-euphoric afterwards, after my very first session. And I went back 2 weeks later and we kept doing those sessions. I went back every week for almost 6 weeks. After that, we ended up going back every 6 weeks or so. Unfortunately, the pandemic hit and everything kind of went awry, and I was unable to continue to do acupuncture after that. With this year going, I was just determined to get acupuncture back in my life. We found this acupuncturist near our house. My first experience was fantastic. As much as I wish it would have lasted a little bit longer, my pain is significantly higher than it was a few years back. I got a good hour of really good relief, which honestly for me right now in the state my body is in, I was very happy with. We did do a combo treatment with a little bit of cupping. If you're not familiar with cupping, we can talk about that. Or if you have any questions about cupping, feel free to leave any comments down below about cupping or acupuncture. If you have any questions, by all means. It's one of those things. We'll be going back for my second session in 2 weeks, which I'm super pumped about, but I'll be going back week to week. We'll hopefully have an updated video for you guys in a few weeks. I want to give this some time. I really want to make sure that we have a full update before we do another acupuncture video, and hopefully we'll have progressed past this back pain, acute pain, and onto some more fun acupuncture before we do an update on this chronic pain acupuncture story for you guys. But this is my first acupuncture video for you guys. I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you guys have any questions, by all means, leave them down below, and we will see you guys next week. Don't forget to slow your roll. If you've liked this video, check out this one next.